Hey there, creepy peeps, and welcome to another new movie review. Today, of course, we have to talk about Velvet Buzzsaw. Oh man, alright. Let's get into this. So, written and directed by Dan Gilroy, Velvet Buzzsaw follows artists, art critics, and museum owners in LA after a series of paintings by an unknown artist are discovered. However, a supernatural force enacts revenge on those who profit from the art. So this movie is the second movie written and directed by Gilroy that also stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Rene Russo, the first being Nightcrawler, which, if I understand correctly, is the source of a lot of the hype surrounding Velvet Buzzsaw, because all the fans of Nightcrawler, which I still haven't seen, so let that stay in your mind when you hear my review of this. I wasn't as hyped for this movie because of that. Although you could have just been hyped for the movie not having seen Nightcrawler, I suppose, right? And apparently the premise for Velvet Buzzsaw was based on Gilroy's work on a movie that has never seen the light of day called Superman Lives. I say never seen the light of day, it was never made because Warner Brothers abruptly canceled the production because of the high budget. So after that experience, Gilroy had felt like he had wasted a year and a half of, his life and his work on this project that never, came to be. He was like thinking about this, reconciling with these feelings on a beach, an event which eventually inspired the final scene in Velvet Buzzsaw. I know a ton of people were really hyped for this movie, and like I said, to my understanding, whether that's correct or not, I feel like it was the fans of Nightcrawler that were really, really excited for this. They were super disappointed in Velvet Buzzsaw, which I'll hand it to them because the trailer made this movie look real good, and I will say I was also disappointed even though I've never seen Nightcrawler. Just like the movie is like super shallow, the characters are way unlikable, and it just feels like pretentious. Which I kind of feel like is the point of the movie though. It's very difficult to like reconcile with that fact. Like, I feel like this movie is supposed to be unlikable. Like, you're not supposed to like these characters, you're supposed to hate them, and this whole world is just supposed to seem like, something that most people don't connect with. We don't care about this world. And I feel like that's the point, which I like it's hard to deal with those feelings because it's like, it makes you not like the movie. But in a way, I feel like that's the point of the movie. It gives me a headache. I'm sure you guys can already tell that my biggest complaint with the movie is characters. You guys know how I feel about characters. There's not a single likable character in the movie, even though I mentioned I feel like is the point. Like, they're all uppity and snobby and assholes and just bleh. I also feel like there's a lack of a main character to latch onto and follow through the story. Morph, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, I think is the closest we get to a main character. And he is the only one that comes closest to having like an actual arc, which, although I felt like it was very incomplete. Towards the end, he really does, I feel like he starts to feel some remorse. He's an art critic and writes a lot of very scathing reviews that either make or break an artist's career, basically. As the movie goes on, he starts to actually get backlash in person, like in real life, from people whose careers he's ruined, basically, from his reviews. So he kind of starts to feel remorse, and he is the one character really who figures out what's going on with this art and kind of the rules surrounding it, basically. Like, if you are profiting from it, it's gonna kill you, sort of thing. Like I said, without spoiling anything really, it does come back to bite him in the butt, but the arc just felt incomplete. And I've mentioned this a million times now, the characters are supposed to be unlikable. I didn't even love to hate any of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just hated them. What's a good example? Negan from The Walking Dead. You kind of love to hate him a little bit. He's charismatic and funny, but also he's extremely evil and ruthless. So you love to hate him. These characters, you just hate. There's really no redeeming qualities in them at all. That's not to say the performances weren't good. We do have a star-studded cast. Jake Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo, like I mentioned. Toni Collette is also in this, as well as John Malkovich. And they all do a really great job of making you hate these characters. That's how the characters are supposed to be, and they do that job very well, to the point where you hate them. So to wrap it up, I'm not crazy about this one. It's hard for me to like, it was really hard for me to like make a score for this one, because on one end, I didn't like the movie. On the other hand, I felt like it did its job. I feel like it did what it set out to do. Like in the end, I felt unsatisfied and disappointed, but then if it is based on Gilroy's experience with Superman Lives, he felt disappointed and unsatisfied, so it makes sense. I don't know. I'm gonna give this a 2.5 out of 5. IMDb, it has a 5.9 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 65% critic score and a 42% audience score, and on Letterboxd, it has a 2.6 out of 5. Obviously, this is a Netflix original, so it's available on Netflix if you still haven't seen it and still want to. If you've already seen it though, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about it. As always, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here and become a Creepy Peep today. Why not? I'm funny sometimes. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strange. Bye! This video is brought to you by all of these awesome Patreon supporters who are listed here on the screen. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you want to find out the perks to being a Creepy Patron Peep, you can follow that link that's in the description box. And if you want to check out more videos, you can click the video that's on the screen right now.